Hello again. I just got back from trilogy Extinction, and definitely had to say that, all things considered, I liked it for what it was. That at this point, it's abundantly clear here that this is definitely, if you're looking for to be enlightened, or looking for a mega film which is optimistic, again, this is definitely not your franchise to be heard of since that. Point out that even the positive reviews of those films that say abundantly clear that this is what essentially what a robotic civil war would be like on the world. That there would be that's fun adventures. It would be a very dank hell of fallout and cinders and ashes. Says that, is that, and I still think that's definitely what the franchise best has said that how. And that's definitely why I watched them. That even though I could definitely concede that Mark Wahlberg is definitely a big gain over Shia I Am Not Famous Anymore the buff. If I always consider the All-Stars to be Optimus Prime, I meant all the other robots in there, so it's clear that after 4 films, he finally decided to have people like me what I want. And I am actually glad for that. And so it's definitely, as you can tell from this video that it's going to be not just a review but also a bit of a discussion since it definitely says something to me about how things are going with the industry lately since definitely this is then generally my opinion on these films tends to be consistent with most other people and Transformers fans that the robotic action is very good but the puny humans are definitely not what how we buy our tickets for, and I'm definitely glad to see any ones I dislike. I'm looking at you, Lucas, the surfer dude, who gets vaporized extra crispy by lockdown, and since he seems to be getting anything better at this, since I mean I actually not seem to admit that the first one, 2007, is actually the least favorite of my the live action ones that I'm definitely going to try and take it on its own time as best I can when I review it, but I have to say that 7 years later, this is something that I expected when I watched 2007 for the first time, and that this is what I was hoping for. A gritty, parable of robotic civil war, as well as a thinly veiled toy commercial. That's what happens to my being my favorite adaptations of being that Beast Wars, Beast Machines, Beast Prime, and a lot of the comics, and some more of the Cybertron games, and the 1986 movie that's I'm seeing definitely no strains of all of those who's being integrated in this new one that, and I definitely still have the opposite views of him since that's part of the reason why I think it was definitely hard of a Pacific Rim to film me since when that's going to sequel, there's still going to be 2 more of this one in the wings. And so and don't needn't worry that's Bay is only contractually obligated this one since and that he only come back if they ask him or if they offer him another $165 million for a 65-minute epic about this sort of thing. And it's definitely clear here this is what people want. That definitely does not help that with the money these movies made and all the wares they've sold, all that company is like this since. And it's definitely telling that they have to make a major contribution, and that all franchises that want to compete in the mega genre now have to essentially play the high roller table just to make a bet. So Pacific Rim is just barely getting a sequel because of the international funding and the DVD sales. Because I think it was solely because of this franchise that many of them did the impression that Mecha movies Optimus Prime, if they're not going to be able to take the risk, or it might be box office poison since. Put it this way, that's Pacific Rim made $100 million in its entire run, but it cost double that to make. Made the money back double over internationally, but it's clear that that figure reached within its opening weekend of this movie and it seems to be what the industry is going for these days. Is that it's very much like a high stakes poker game, which franchise can strike gold next. So I wrote about this as one of my college papers for writing this past term when I'm going back, and that I'm also realizing with this channel that having to going out this for almost 600 videos, that I initially wanted to be a direct after a few when I first started this channel, but now I'm realizing that I may very well not be able to compete in this field, the way others can. Definitely going to be doing something different with this discussion. It's going to be integrating trailer time. I am in here since before the whole thing even started. Heard that so trailer is coming in for Planes, Fire and Rescue, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This new one's coming out. I'm not going to be talking about that until I actually review it. Which Guardians of the Galaxy coming out this Friday, and most of all, that's the last one before the show actually started. That was just 60 seconds of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, since it's definitely clear here that even when they have franchises, that they can easily split their finale into two parts. That since it definitely seems to be the big thing now. That's just 60 seconds of President Snow telling everything is fine when the people in the book, I'm not going to spoil which, have other ideas, and now, regarding the film itself, the special effects, once again, are quite amazing. It's been abundantly clear that, assuming his past films, which I may review later this year, before my 700th episode, that as a music video director, it's clear here that whatever he likes a storyteller, that he can more than make up for in spectacle. That in essence, he is effectively a teenager trapped in the body of a man, and he has no other reason to be anything else. So when he approaches the Dinobots, apparently it's definitely yet another Origin story. That's at least 3 now. He crashed into Earth and a dog hopped the body of these dinosaurs as his other bodies, and he's in. And even though I don't see coming to action to the big final act, that sense, to be like the last movie where the whole final 45 minutes or so is essentially the final act of the movie that we in Hong Kong, since it's clear that these movies eventually they done very well in China, since definitely, even though people really did not like Avengers the Fallen, that I'm probably in the minority that likes it, that is a very vocal minority, I will admit. It did incredibly well in China because it's clear that action scenes definitely speak a lot more languages than characterization, and at this point, since my favorite film, The Dark Knight, turns out, actually, it was not officially released there because of a plot point about the corrupt Chinese accountant, but as I pointed out, it's gained audience efforts driving video piracy industry, and even they managed to get some and also still playing a mythology gags in here, since my favorite one had to be which really got into gear in the movie, where Mark Wahlberg is Kate Yeager, and that's my last dig up Pacific Rim, and based playing of others in the film, that can come to show down, but and definitely they're going to be a lot more Attack on Titan mashups if they aren't already, that from the surname alone, and a Bang Devil truck, I think not, other than the Autobot Commander Optimus Prime, and definitely enjoy, and they actually finally managed to make a way for a boxy cube who from the original TV series work, definitely looking at picking up the Evasion War figure that here soon, and they actually finally managed to make it work so it fit in everything, since he's very adamant against size changing, And of course now, after the events of the third film, it seems that all of the robots transform as persona non grata in the eyes of the government, and specifically Avenger, played by Kelsey Grammer. That's not just Autobots, or not just Decepticons. Whether if they transform, they're getting gunned down. And so I'm not getting any specifics about which ones bite the bullets. But chances are, if you see if they're on the challenge to figure, Transformers Wiki pointed out, they got a fighting chance. They're not in the line. Pow. And that's definitely something quite anime about, since Hasbro is definitely pushing this, since even though I am dismayed that Prime and then they're working on new series with the Mr. franchise, that seems to be his most operandi ever since the first one. That movies seem to be selling a lot more toys than TV shows do, to the point of even pushing back, selling so many, they're pushing back the ones for each TV series with each time a new one gets made. And with this is how Optimus and Bumblebee are the only ones that stuck out in return that of the new ones, however, let's say, of course, Netflix got Galvatron and Frank Welker reprising his role for the first time since the third and fourth seasons of the original TV series. That Netflix glad he adopted a more deep voice portrayal, so how in Prime he did a more deep voice Megatron, since I prefer the deep voice one, since I think the screechy one fit well. It sounded like he was breathing helium, and oh yes, he is every bit as nucky and futz as his namesake, and many of the continuities I've seen him in, and be it Generation 1, Armada, feel free to tell me on my Google Plus if there's any continuities I'm missing that, and as for the other supporting characters like Jack Rayner, as the race car driver, who essentially playing the opposite role as he did and catching fire here, and sorry, I still believe that when I go to these movies, he's the robot who I want to see since I'm very glad since now not fewer scenes with humans. I'm definitely glad that the producers and those crew has confirmed that they're not going back to the movies. That there's very little laugh at me. That at most the scenes that are humorous are essentially black comedy. That there's a couple scenes with him fighting with daughter Tessa Cade. That announced a Cola Peltz. That I definitely say that given how they both had less than sub performances at hands of Shyamalan. Definitely saying with those production photos is that Michael Bay definitely has very different ways of moving his editors. I know I've seen some production photos with him holding that green screen claw standing with a Decepticon hand and on the set since. And these are some very expensive set pieces. He says that when he's moving parts, that's definitely going to be looking very impressive. Thanks to a new Fusion digital setup, since I'm well aware what the franchise is a live-action film series that's essentially a live-action temple film, which I think all it needs to be. Since and I definitely did not go in with the same expectation I had with Captain America or X-Men and this year, since I really do not. But I consider it a satisfying film, and that's given the dark tone, and as well as a good parable for Robotics or War. But I consider it to be as good, if not slightly better than Dark of the Moon, but is live action film that I've had it once, so remains the animated one from 1986, which was only 87 minutes long, and a cartoon as well. So, but definitely enjoy animation and also gritty stuff. So, fan. And oh yes, that's how. Given how it's clear that even when the lines are laid out in the film, I'm not going to spoil which ones, but even it's definitely a lot more ambiguity this time around. How in that sense. And so, anyway, kind of wrapping this all up, and Fred Voice helps contribute to the 30th anniversary of Transformers. So I'm going to give this film 3.5 out of 4, and by the time you see this, I will be well at work on my 600th episode, so don't you miss it. Hopefully it won't take long as my 500th, because I'll have other projects going to do last year before I've gotten away, so till all are one.